everybody. Before starting today's conversation, let me just give you a catchy phrase. What happens in the market? What happens in the share market rather? Bulls make money, bears make money, but it is us, the commoners, who get slaughtered in the entire process. Jokes apart, before we go further, let me introduce my guest for the day. He is an industry stalwart. Amit Trivedi sir has more than 30 years of professional experience in capital markets. He has literally trained more than 3 lakh participants over 1600 workshops for various regulatory bodies, insurance companies, AMCs, etc. etc. He has written over 1000 articles for mainstream media. That's quite an insight he has. He has also authored books like Money-Wise Perspectives for Women, Investories, Anecdotes from Financial Markets. The whole thing is that कि भैया सबसे बड़ा रुपया, I can't deny that. That is the whole point of today's conversation कि सबसे बड़ा रुपया and इस रुपया को कैसे लेके हमने streamline करना है share market में. Personal finance lessons from the IUC, riding the roller coaster, which is my book of discussion today, Immunize for Financial Health, and several others. He has been, okay, I do see, sir. Yeah, so I was mentioning, okay, he should be here any second. Yes. So just you have to change the, yes, perfect.
Yeah.
Hello. Good evening,
Yes.
sir.
Very good evening. Very good evening.
It is simply an honor to host you, sir.
Thank you so much.
So I was just introducing you to our audience, and I must say that the accolades, the kind of work you have done is tremendous. We have a lot from our discussion based on the books you have, written, but I can't wait to ask you more questions. And once again, I would like to tell that today's hot topic is riding the roller coaster or riding the capital markets with Amit Trivedi, sir. So,
yeah.
On a lighter note, when I started my conversation, I used a catchphrase from your own book. I want to give your take on that. Bulls make money, bears make money, but commoners like we get slaughtered in the entire process, sir. What would you say from the angle of capital markets or the share market?
Okay, so now that you started on a lighter note, let me just tweak what you said.
Yeah.
I would say harsher version of this line is bulls make money, bears make money. It's the bakras who get slaughtered. But again, it's on a lighter note. My experience in the capital markets suggests that it's a choice whether we want to be bakras or not, whether we want to eat breakfast or we want to be breakfast. Okay, that's a choice that we make. And for that purpose, it's important to understand a few things. And it's in that context that I started learning the subject, because in the beginning, even I was one of those bakras. And I've lost a significant amount of money in stock markets. I've made some colossal mistakes. And then over a period of time, I started learning. So it typically happens with most, because the schools and colleges equip us to earn money, but there is no knowledge imparted on what to do after you earn the money.
Brilliant. Yes. I cannot agree more on this, sir. So you were mentioning something about, making a colossal mistake when you were, in the early stages of your investment journey with the stock market. But sir,
right.
I do come with a mindset, rather, this was a common question about book club when it came to investing or actively investing in the market, that this cannot happen. You must have also felt that this cannot happen to you. The losses per se, or the mistakes, to be honest. So,
Yeah.
how was the journey?
So a lot of times, we tend to take certain things for granted. For example, knowledge. Now, knowledge, we assume knowledge is fungible. But
Yeah.
tell me something, if I am one of the best rocket scientists, can I perform surgery on somebody? I can't, because that knowledge is not fungible. I can't take my rocket science knowledge into the field of medicine. And in a
True.
similar manner, a chartered accountant may know great things about accountancy, but
Yeah.
may not know much about investing.
True. Very true.
Invest investment per se, and I'm just taking a chartered accountant's example. It applies to almost all professions.
Yeah.
Having said that, we've also seen some people coming from completely different walks of life and succeeding in capital markets or in the world of investing. So that
Yeah.
also may happen. Why does that happen is an important thing to understand. And let me just quote an anecdote. It happened in one of the investor meets that I was addressing, and I was talking about mutual funds in that meeting, where I highlighted the pros and cons of mutual funds, what are the ways one can invest, etc., etc. At the end of
Okay.
the session, one gentleman walked up to me and said, "Sir, I have never made a single rupee in stock markets, but I've never lost a single rupee investing in real estate. What should I do?" Now, when somebody makes this kind of a statement, you actually have nothing to say. I mean, if you are making money in real estate, please go ahead and invest money in real estate and don't come to stock market. But
Yes.
still, there is a lesson to this point. So I said, sir, then let's understand, what do you do when you invest in real estate because you are successful? Can we borrow some lessons from that process into the world of stock markets? So I said, what are the steps you take when you invest in real estate? So then he started elaborating on various things, like he takes a look at the physical property, he'll look at the surrounding area, he'll check the titles and other documents will be verified by vetted by a lawyer. So he does a whole host of things, and after that he decides to invest his money. I said, this is fantastic, but now tell me, what all do you do when you buy stocks? And his answer was a big smile on the face. He said, "Yeah, I got you. Because I only invest in stocks based on somebody's recommendation, and I don't even check whether that somebody is an expert or not."
Very true.
Right? So that's where again the question of that bakra comes in. When I started investing, I did not know what I was buying. Just overheard a couple of people talking about one company's stock, and I ended up buying. And obviously, I mean, these markets took that money as their fees and imparted some lessons to me.
This seems like a past life expert. You are making a commentary, a personal commentary on me, that buying on the basis of what others are recommending or buying on the basis of tips. And I know why I became the breakfast rather than eating the breakfast in my initial journey as an investor and a trader. But, sir, um, you know, the markets are erratic. Like, the most common word we can use at this point is volatility.
Yeah,
And the same, I don't know how much involved the macros were earlier or the geopolitics were earlier, but
huh.
currently, if something happens in one corner of the world,
Yeah,
the impact is seen in markets. And
right.
similarly, riding the roller coaster becomes much more difficult. So, what would be your take on this?
So you mentioned about this book.
Yeah.
This book is actually based on study of, and I don't want to use the word research. It is, I can't call it research, but study of various market cycles
Mm.
spanning 500 years,
Mm.
five different countries, and five different asset categories.
Okay.
500 years, and you can draw too many parallels. Whether you call it macros, whether you call it micro variables, but you know what? Uh, if I were to segregate broadly, then products could be different, geographies could be different, time span could be different, asset category could be different, regulations could be different, investment vehicles could be different. But one thing common in all the episodes is the human mind and the erratic human behavior. Now, you mentioned about markets being erratic. I would
Yeah.
put it the other way. That is the nature of the market. Expecting order in the market is my error.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, so let's accept the market the way they are. They are like that. Can you predict with precision? No, you can't. Then why try? Can
Okay.
you can you prepare your portfolio? Yes, you can to a great extent. Understand
Okay.
uh, the so-called madness of the markets and understand the madness of human mind. You can only control the latter, and that too your own mind and not somebody else's mind. And you can never control the markets.
Okay.
So to that extent, what I really say that if you can't predict, prepare. And the preparation is about two things. Number one, protect the downside. And number two, be ready to capture whatever upside you can. And you are not going to capture the full upside.
Yes. Very
Yeah,
true.
so that's how I look at the markets.
I certainly agree on the fact that, sir, you mentioned that 500 years, five different countries, and five different asset categories. But at the same time, sir, um, how and why you can say that people's behavior is not unpredictable? I agree. Rather, I'm made to agree to the fact that markets are unpredictable. Everything you see is always downside, upside. Both things are mentioned like that, our life depends on both sides. Either side is going to happen, right? But
Yeah.
how can we conclude that people's behavior is predictable?
Okay, so let's just step out of the capital markets and get into another field. So let's say if Roger Federer and Djokovic are playing a game of tennis,
Yeah,
how would they play? Both of them would try the best of the shots that they know and
mm,
try to win points.
true.
But if you and I play tennis, and I'm assuming that you are a novice like me in the game of tennis,
Percent.
then then what we are supposed to do is not to try anything smart. We only have to keep the ball on the court and wait for the other to make a mistake.
Okay.
Okay, so the experts try their expertise and play those shots. As a novice, I have to reduce the number of mistakes that I make.
Okay.
Okay, now let's come back to the capital markets in the same. And by the way, the analogy that I used right now of tennis is not my original idea. I borrowed from one of the books that I've read long back. So I just tweaked it a bit. So not an original one, by the way. But let's come to in the world of investing. There are risks involved in all the investment products or in all the investment vehicles. Can
Okay.
I understand those risks? Yes, I can. And only when I can understand those risks can I control the risks. So this whole field of investment in my mind is ulta. The
Okay.
moment I try to chase returns, I end up with too much of risk. But the moment I try to manage and control the risks, I end up with returns.
So, can I say this, sir, that as an investor, I do understand there is risk in the capital market, but to reduce it, I have to study well, I have to prepare well. Can I say it this way?
So that's the starting point. You have to study
Okay.
well and prepare well. Now, when you say study, what all you need to study is also important.
Okay.
Okay, so first of all, the basic nature of what you are investing into, and when I say the nature involves the SLR, safety, liquidity, and returns. So the first is risk, the potential return, and whether there is liquidity or not. I need to understand all the three.
Okay.
Second, am I investing in a regulated market, a regulated product, or am I investing in something that is unregulated?
Okay.
Personally, I request everybody, and when I say everybody, I'm not referring to the experts, I'm referring to commoners like us. Personally, I request everybody to stay away from unregulated products and unregulated markets. So, so that is number two. Number three, if something goes wrong, what is the recourse? So you got to study that as well.
Okay.
And number four, you got to study the what should I say? The rationalities or irrationalities of your own self. And I'm not bothered about others. I would rather apply. When I see somebody behaving in erratic manner, I would just see, do I act in this manner, or if I were in this situation, how would I act? So you've got to study those things. And once you study these things, then a lot of things start to, rather, it's a set of jigsaw puzzle when some pieces are missing. So you start putting things together, and eventually some clarity emerges.
Definitely, that's insightful, sir. But you know, on the similar lines, because we are talking about risk, we are also talking about regulated, unregulated area, or the sectors. There is this anecdote which I'm picking up from your book itself,
Yeah.
which says that how does one, I just tweaked it a bit,
Sure.
how does one explain to a school teacher in rural India that her portfolio dropped by around 50% because someone on the other side of the world defaulted on his housing loan, made a comment, shot a bullet, or for that matter, to understand the gravity of the situation, as realistic and as brutal as the current war that is happening between Israel and Palestine. So how would we get that into picture?
So actually, you picked this up from the chapter on subprime crisis, and
Yes.
this actually happened. I was in Jammu doing a training program, and one of the mutual fund distributors came to me and said, "I have a client who is a school teacher."
Okay.
Now, so this was his question. How do I explain to the school teacher that your portfolio is losing because somebody in US defaulted on a home loan?
Yeah.
So I have just changed the words. But the answer to this very question comes a little later in the book, where I've said all these events that happen in the world and impact the financial markets, you cannot prevent those. You cannot predict those. So, as the popular saying in navigation says, you can't stop the, you can't control the winds, but you can adjust your sails. So, when you are taking your sailboat into the ocean, the direction of the winds is beyond your control, and those sometimes those winds can actually get into a tornado or a hurricane kind of a situation. What you can do is pull the sails down so that the impact on your portfolio is minimized, impact on your financial life is minimized. I can't do anything about Israel-Palestine conflict. I can't do anything about COVID-19 or Russia-Ukraine war. I can't do anything about inflations going out of hand or a company, declaring very poor results.
Yeah.
All I can do is I construct my portfolio in a manner that it is resilient. And by resilient, it is a beautiful word. By resilient, it means it can withstand the downside, and it is quick to recover when the recovery happens. So what do you do actually? Let's understand the primary risks of investing. Risk number one, we have highlighted volatility, and
Yes.
that's like popular risk. Now, if I don't want to take a risk of volatility and still want higher returns, what do I do? Then I have to take another risk called credit risk, where I buy some debentures or fixed deposits where the credit risk is high or the credit rating is low. In such a case, I may get higher interest rate. But then there is credit risk. Suppose that somebody comes and says, I don't even want credit risk, but I want higher returns. Then you got to take the third risk. And a few products are available, like for example, PPF offers reasonably high interest rate without any volatility, without any credit risk. But liquidity is sacrificed. So you taken a risk of illiquidity.
Very well said.
Now somebody comes and says, I do not want to take any risk, no volatility, no credit risk, no illiquidity risk. Where do I keep my money? The only place I can keep my money is at home under the mattress.
I was just thinking in my mind, what is this option that's going to come up? I mean, where? Very brilliant.
Yeah, and in that case, because prices keep going up gradually of various items that we consume, the purchasing power of the money under the mattress keeps going down. So you are exposed to a fourth risk called inflation.
Yes, inflation is going to eat all.
Right. Yeah. So then in that case, is there anything called risk-free? If you want to avoid three, you get the fourth for free. If that's the case,
Yeah.
so if that's the case, it's not a question of not taking risk. It's a question of choosing the risk.
Okay.
Which risks I want to take and how much. And in order to make a choice, I need to properly understand all the four choices. Once I've done that, then I start allocating my money into various investment vehicles or asset categories, because each investment vehicle or asset category would be exposed to some of the risks in varying proportions. And that really, if I, the way I speak, it may appear to be very simple. It's not as simple as it sounds. It requires a little bit of hard work in understanding, and a lot of understanding may be required.
Very true. It takes around 20 years of hard work to achieve what is simplified in front of us, or what looks very simple when you are saying. But I have to mention this, that you are an amazing story weaver. The way you explained 4 types of risk or risk, I thought this is so, so simple. But the kind of experience and the research or the efforts that have gone through all this past 30 years of experience is what is seen in this like 30-40 minutes conversation.
So now go back to the where we started the discussion.
Yes.
I mean, the whole subject has to be explained to a bakra, and as I said, I started as a bakra. So if a bakra can understand, then it has to be a language which should be, common human beings should be able to understand. So that's why, that's something that I've learned over the years. Otherwise, finance industry must take a little bit of blame that they have complicated a lot of stuff, and which is unwarranted.
Okay. So since we are talking about commoners, or I would like to myself be the first one to call myself a bakra. But at the same time, sir, I want to understand, if I want to make it easy for commoners like us, there are a couple of things I'll list out. If you can help us with, if you are on the journey of learning, how can we do that? And so one, there is a lot of content on YouTube or social media for that matter. The second one is books. Okay. The third one is doing certified courses, or they may not be possible for everybody, but just taking it into picture. And the fourth one is do or die situation, where we enter the market and we experiment, we learn on the go. So if somebody wants to start, how would you rank all of them, sir?
Okay, so I would say it's not one over the other. A combination may be required.
Okay.
And the last point that you mentioned is actually trying it out. I think that trying it out is equally critical. Losing some money in the earlier stage is important.
Okay.
And I'm saying important because please understand that you are paying the fees to the capital market to understand the subject.
Okay.
That's the fee. that's how I learned. But let me just say you mentioned about four things. One is following various YouTube channels or Twitter handles or Instagram pages, etc., etc. Uh, do your uh, due diligence and ensure that you are following the right kind of people.
Okay.
The moment somebody, I mean, and then again, I'm saying those who want to learn, the moment somebody appears to be selling something, then be careful. A
Okay.
teacher or an educator is not supposed to be promoting or selling something. So that's rule number one. And I'm again, if you want to follow some people who recommend, that's your choice. But if you want to learn, then follow teachers. So that's number one. Number two, I found books to be extremely useful to me. Uh, these days, there are a lot of newspapers and magazines also which come out with very insightful editions.
Yes.
I mean, just to name a few, well, uh, if I were to look at MFI's website called Mutual Funds Sahi Hai, very insightful. Then National Center for Financial Education, which is the Government of India agency, they've got a lot of literature available on their website. Even SEBI has got an investor website. RBI has something. Insurance regulator and pension regulator. All of them have their own stuff on education. The stock exchanges, the depositories, they also have a lot of stuff. So I think I would start with these kind of players because they don't have any sales agenda. They are neutral. Then, then of course, I'm not saying that those who are selling are all bad. That's not the point. But there you should have a discretion or ability to discriminate between what is sales pitch and what is education. And again, I'm only talking from education point of view. Books have been critical in my journey because when I started learning this subject, there was no internet accessible to me. I mean, I started learning this subject in 1992, and the first time I saw internet was in 1999. So 7 years later. Till then, I did not know that it existed. So I read books, and in books, the way I read is when you read a book, look at who all the author is quoting, which other authors the author is quoting.
Okay.
That becomes your thread. So if, let's say, if in my book, Riding the Roller Coaster, at the end of the book, there's a list of 50 books that I've read to write this book.
Yes.
Right? So then you can pick up, these are the books that I have read, and because I put it on paper, that also means that I've liked something about those books, and you may look at it. Then pick up any of those books, and somebody has referred another book, so that becomes your thread. However, the other side also must be understood. So if I talk about something, if you come across something that is exactly opposite of what I'm saying, please read it.
Okay.
You know, it's very interesting. When we learn, we say we kindle a fire, right?
Yes.
Now, fire is kindled through friction. If both the surfaces are smooth, then there is no fire, but there is friction, your knowledge gets kindled. So you read opposite views, arguments and opposite views will help us clarify a lot of things and learn more and more. Because as somebody has said, if two people agree to everything all the time, they don't learn anything new. The moment there is disagreement, something new can be learned. So this is how I also followed. Now let's come to the courses. There are a few courses available, paid as well as unpaid. In India, again, NSC and BSc both have some phenomenally good courses. You may want to try those out. Some of those are paid courses, but because these are from exchanges, I think you don't really have to worry about this. Then they do their check, they hire the trainers, or the course material is also vetted. So to that extent, you can look at those, and of course, then there are a few others. So I'm not mentioning any private players' name out here. I don't want to do that, but there are quite a few. But do your due diligence. I would not simply jump on somebody.
Right, true, sir. You know, uh, the the bottom line of whatever you mentioned, sir, is that keep on trying, keep on learning.
Yeah.
At the same time, uh, failure is a part of life for those who try. All the lines that I'm quoting are from Sir's book only. It's just that I have timed it well, and they sound like, oh my God, I am making some fancy statements, but it's just from Sir's book only. With due credit to Sir. So I also want to ask you about OS8.
Okay. Uh, so it is OSET,
Yes.
which is abbreviation of one step at a time.
Okay.
So everything in life happens one step at a time. If you start jumping, uh, in the initial phase, you may move faster, but the probability of meeting with an accident is far higher. Go one step at a time, and as they say, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step.
Yes.
Uh, but if you keep taking those steps again and again, then the journey gets completed. So while it begins with the first step, you keep taking that one step at a time in order to complete that journey. OSET is a company that five of us have formed, and all five of us happen to be in the field of education in financial services. So call it investor education or financial literacy. Uh, we intend to do a lot of investor education, the skill development among the intermediaries, and of course, apart from those physical or online programs,
Yes.
we'll also be creating a lot of content in whichever form. I mean, there could be videos, there could be blogs or articles, and there will be books. I have so far written five of my books have been published, and of course, six of my books have been published, and uh, must have written roughly a little
One.
over 1,000 articles.
Yeah.
So we'll keep writing, I mean, keep doing that anyway. So that's OSET.
Wow. So kudos to you there, sir. With this, we would come to the most, I would say, you know, crazy segment. Here, I would like to make you, tell me three myths or the three most bizarre statements you have heard about the capital markets or the securities market. मैंने जो एक सबसे कॉमनली सुना है सर वो ये है, आज पैसा डालो कल पैसा डबल हो जाता है.
Uh, Yeah, so that's quite a common one. But the other common one, and I think most dangerous one, is मैं हूं ना, या तो मैं मेरी गारंटी है.
अच्छा.
So I think the moment somebody gives guarantee of high returns, once again my request to everybody would be just grab your checkbook and run away from that person as far as you can, because जो गारंटी देता है वो गारंटी देने वाले की गारंटी कौन देगा?
बिल्कुल.
Right, so those who guarantee high returns are either crooks or the god himself. बाकी कोई नहीं दे सकता.
जी.
So this word is where the second bizarre thing that I keep hearing, in which is we've already covered in the discussion, is इसमें कोई risk नहीं है. The moment somebody says इसमें कोई risk नहीं है, once again either the person is ignorant or a crook.
Okay.
And I'll give benefit of doubt that the person is ignorant.
Okay, yeah, I like that statement more than yes.
So one is मैं हूं ना, second is risk नहीं है, and the third is when you so I encounter this question a lot of times. People would come and say, I'm an aggressive investor. But this statement comes in only at the or at or near the top of a stock market cycle. No, markets do not decide whether I'm aggressive or conservative. और मैंने कई बार ये पूछा है कि सर आप अग्रेसिव हो तो can you please explain what do you mean by aggressive? So he would come and say, yeah, I can take risk. I said, wonderful. How much risk can you take? So then the counter question would be, what do you mean by that? I'd say, okay, so after you invest, if your money, if the value of your investments comes down by 50%,
Okay.
would it be okay? No,
No.
it will not be okay. That is a standard reply that I get.
Yes.
Then I say, okay, if not 50, how about 30%? No, not acceptable. How about 15%? And the guy really gets wild. No, loss nahi karna hai mujhe. Now, I'm deliberately elaborating on this because now what I said is the value drops by 50% and the person says loss nahi karna hai. Please understand, stock market's volatility means the drops happen, but losses are booked when you take money out during those drops. If you don't take money out in a good quality diversified portfolio, the recovery happens.
Yes.
So there is a difference between drop and loss. Right? Now, in such a case, when somebody is not even willing to see a 15% drop, what is the aggression? Upside is not aggression. Aggression is ability to withstand the downside and still, with a smile on the face, stay invested, as if nothing has happened. Right? So, and there a beautiful line comes from Shirdi Sai Baba. He used to mention two words, Shraddha and Saburi. It starts with Shraddha, trust, faith. Once you have that Shraddha, then only Saburi is possible, the patience is possible. If you don't have Shraddha, there is no Saburi. And the Shraddha comes through reading, Shraddha comes through learning.
Very true.
Okay, so that aggressive word is something that I really have a problem with. A lot of people use these kind of things without really understanding what risk one is taking. Then just when we are on the risk, let me just add fourth, though you only asked for three, I'm giving you one bonus. Calculated risk. I am taking calculated risk. And nobody has been able to explain to me what the calculation was behind taking that risk. If you are calculating, show me the calculation. I haven't seen so far.
Isn't it supposed to be a percentage in my head that I can say as calculated?
What is the basis through which you arrived at that percentage?
No, it's just that I have a random
right?
number.
It's out of the head. It's out of the head. And that percentage also predominantly is about the upside, not about the potential downside. And you know why? You know why did I mention that 50% drop? Because so far in the history of Sensex, that is from 1979 to 2023, whatever 40 odd years that we've seen, Sensex value has dropped by more than 50% 4 times. It has dropped by more than 30% 7 times. Now 4 out of 43 years is once in 11 years or once in a decade.
Yeah.
7 out of 43 times is once every 6 years. We are not talking about low probabilities. We are talking about things which can happen. And I'm talking about Sensex, which is a large cap index. You go to mid cap or small cap or even below, the probabilities would go up.
Yeah.
And in spite of those, 50% drops 4 times, that 100 point of 1979 value is today 65 or 66,000. That's the nature. That's the nature of the beast, and that beast has to be understood.
I'm literally stunned to understand the kind of numbers that you're putting in front. Despite we all we all have a calculated risk, so-called calculated risk in mind. But when asked the right way, I am myself unable to define what I am actually intending at. So
Okay, so let me apply some balm on this pain. Okay, so it is the equity markets which have fallen so much. The moment you add a component of debt in the portfolio, your falls are not as steep. And if you keep increasing the debt component, the drops would be much more muted. And this is precisely why you need a mix of investments. And the beauty is when equity goes down, gold may go up or your debenture prices may go up. When you invested across these different investments, the word for that in the financial market is diversification, then the drops at the portfolio level are muted to such an extent the portfolio. And that's the key to building a robust portfolio.
very well said, sir. I when I started or when I asked, so when we started this conversation, I started on the a set of understanding that I already had. This set of questions. And when the conversation came, open to several other, the share markets or the capital markets. But you have literally changed my entire perspective about the capital market. Amazing, sir. Amazing insight. It is simply an honor to host you, sir, and I've taken much more than what I asked for, the time I asked for. And I don't wish to stop this here, but considering the kind of request we have made, I would simply say thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invite. And this is my first book written by you, but I am now going to, get into other five and better, prepare better, and get ready with more understanding towards the market.
No, thank you so much, Shweta. I think it was a very, very nice of you to invite me for this conversation. Really thoroughly enjoyed, and I was so happy that you read the book. You were quoting from the book, and the questions, the way you put, are quite insightful. It's just that old man loves to speak a lot, and that's why you extended the time limit. Not because of your questions, but it was really a pleasure talking to you, Shweta. And whenever you feel like having another conversation, I'll be more than happy to join.
So I already have a book in, like my perspective. I already have the moment I'm done reading, I'm certainly going to get in touch with you again to have a
Sure.
conversation. Because, coming from you, it is not just about a book particularly, it is about awareness. It is about, like you said, that be the breakfast or eat the breakfast. And,
Yeah.
what we need authors like you to understand how and where our money is going. So thank you so much for
My pleasure.
the words of
Thank you so much.